Are the Liberals blocking independent journalists from coming to their events? Let's talk about the rhetoric of Pierre on TikTok right now. And then we're going to talk about why I crashed out today on TikTok. Okay, welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie A.B. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is your weekend report. I'm here every day covering the election from things all over social media, podcasts and audiobooks and everything in between. So if that interests you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into it. So this next story is about Karima Rules. She is a lawyer turned journalist, and an actual journalist, not journalist. I said that weird. Not Rachel Gilmore journalist, okay? Actual journalist who's out there all the time. I admire her. She is, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I did go to school for television and broadcasting when I was pregnant with my daughter, and then kind of realized that I couldn't, the teacher said, don't plan on having kids if you want this job because it's not really family friendly. And I thought, okay, well then maybe it's not for me. So after my first semester, I dropped out. But what I really wanted to go for was journalism and broadcasting, okay? So when I talk about Trish Woods and Karima, those are the actual journalists that I look up to personally as someone who has kind of always wanted to be a journalist. Now, I would not call myself a journalist. I'm a content creator through and through. I am more right-leaning, but I am definitely center. So I definitely look up to these women in the industry because people like Trish Woods and Karima Rules, like Karima was I would say probably staunch leftist until the leftists started treating her horribly. So let's look at this clip from her. I will put her tag in the description below.
Who are we?
With Karima?
Can go to register, yes.
Huh?
Can go register.
I'm not sure I understand. How do you...
I think you're part of this crew. We saw you get out of the car. It's a closed event. You aren't registered unless you could show me a registration. Hi, it's a closed event.
A registration.
I don't believe you do. Sorry, guys.
What's your name?
I registered for the event. It says, hey Karima, we can't wait to see you tomorrow.
Yeah, but you don't have the QR code.
How do you know that?
Because we know who you are.
Can you elaborate on that? Because I'm a little bit confused. I've been calling the media line to try to understand if there is some sort of a practicing lawyer.
In the words of the Black conservative creator, you seen that, you heard that, okay? So that's just a little bit of her 4-minute clip that I wanted to show you guys. Now, there's really no reason why Karima shouldn't be allowed in a liberal event, considering she doesn't heckle people. It's really just people having a vendetta against her. It's people having a vendetta against her because she shows everybody their true colors and they don't like it in the slightest. And truly, that is why the left doesn't like her, because they've treated her badly, thinking that she was right-leaning or something. And then she has exposed their behavior because they're in public doing this to her. And she's just been covering all of the protests. I admire her. Please go check out her page. I'm sure you guys already know who Karima is if you're on my page. But yeah, go check her out. And it's funny because there's a clip of Justin Trudeau saying that he would never force people to get the shots. And I can't help but notice that Mark Carney had a hand in the Freedom Convoy and calling it a sedition and saying that it was the horrible thing that it was not, okay? It was just literally probably one of the most authentic protests that I've ever seen in my life. And we're seeing now just how authoritarian that Mark Carney can be already. He's not even in office, and he's already telling people that they can't cover his campaign rally. That doesn't make sense. You should want everybody and anybody there, okay? I don't know. But I digress. Let's talk about the rhetoric of Mark Carney and Pierre on TikTok. First of all, I want to say, what is Gen Alpha saying about this? What's Gen Alpha saying about the election? What do they see when they see the election? So there was one video of a girl taking down her parents' conservative sign. And I commented and said, that's weird. My kids love Pierre Polyev because they come from a time when they remember when we could afford things. And then when my children ask why we don't do fun things anymore, and I tell them that the government takes so much of dad's paycheck that we can no longer afford to have fun things, and they literally put a tax on our existence to do fun things. Yeah, they don't like Justin Trudeau. And I truly don't think, like, people are like, you're indoctrinating. No, they genuinely, first of all, if anything's indoctrinating them, it is the commercials from YouTube, okay? I don't really talk about politics with my kids because it makes me so heated. So they like that on their own because of the very minimal things that I've said as to why they have noticed their life going downhill since, you know, like, especially my daughter, she's 12 years old and she definitely knows what it was like before Trudeau. She knows what we could do and how much fun we had and all of the different activities we did, you know, early days of Justin Trudeau. And yeah, I've explained to her, like, since Justin Trudeau's been in, it was fine at first, but then he started taking more taxes and putting a tax on everything, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, what are Gen Alpha saying about this election? First of all, a lot of them, if they're old enough, they remember what's going on and how they were. There was one time, by the way, in the schools in Ontario where everything else was locked down except for the schools. So their parents were home and they were at school. But my daughter found this edit of Pierre Polyev and Justin Trudeau, and it was "Good luck, babe." So that's Gen Alpha. Okay, that's Gen Alpha. They're probably a little bit brainwashed because they're on TikTok, and maybe I think they are one of the main people in all of this rhetoric about Pierre Polyev on TikTok, which is, by the way, that he is apparently going to take our rights away. I genuinely, because if anybody knows what this bill was about, first of all, anybody can make a petition and take it to the House of Commons. So if you guys are talking about the petition made by the general public to do something about Schmishmarshin, yeah, that's a real thing. But at the same time, it's our right, okay? Doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere, but it is our right to start a petition and take it no matter what that petition is. I digress. One of the other laws was, so, and by the way, this exists in so many countries where abortion is still legal, but I just want to tell you, the feminists out there, that if you're pregnant, you are like 10 times more likely to be murdered by your partner, okay? So the conservatives wanted to put something through that meant that if somebody was murdered and they were pregnant, that the killer would be held responsible for the fetus inside of them. That sparks this whole pro-life, blah, blah, blah. Pierre Polyev's pro-life, look at the bill that they did. And they'll just say things like this, and it's a complete conspiracy theory, and have the left thinking that they're touching abortion. I had access to an abortion 12 years ago when Stephen Harper was in, and I will continue to have access to something that I don't want, by the way. I didn't take it. But thank God that I'm not radicalized enough to think that they shouldn't have that choice. But they thought that, you know, the government should impede on my choice to choose what goes in and out of my body, okay? And even if you listen to the wording of the liberals, they'll never, ever say that Pierre Polyev is pro-life. No, it sounds too bad, okay? So they say anti-choice, which is very rich coming from the people who wanted to go door to door to make sure that people were vaccinated. So a big thing right now is literally just that he's going to take away our human rights, blah, blah, blah. It's a bunch of people who genuinely don't remember, or are being paid, who don't remember what it was like to live during Harper. Hello, Canada. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Canada's always been a bit gay. Even our most conservative show that I'm telling you, Christians are not watching Trailer Park Boys, okay? But it is a redneck conservative show. Gay, polyamorous. This is the 90s. We have been ahead of the game for forever, okay? Canada has always been a bit gay. Our cities have gay villages, you guys. It's so sad too, because they always talk about, oh my gosh, and our LGBT history. So give Canada the props it deserves then, and stop complaining about this amazing country that you've always been allowed to feel, from what I remember, feel comfortable living in. So, oh my gosh, the left genuinely drives me crazy with stuff like that. And this is what led me to my crash out today on TikTok that is already privated, because I genuinely cannot understand how they sit there in such cognitive dissonance while their entire world revolves around them, their ability to have an abortion, and LGBTQ plus being able to call themselves non-binary on every single document. Like, that is their main objectives. It's not much else. There's not much else that they think is going to be taken away besides. And here's the thing. Like I said before, when the Conservatives were in last time, I could afford a house and be able to marry whoever I wanted to be. We don't live in the States. We don't have to choose between those two things. But can someone tell me why the left have turned their backs on all of the human rights that have been violated since the Liberals been in? Let's talk C11. Let's talk the suppression of Canadian voices. What the actual hell are you talking about? The fact that the left stands up, see, this is why I just crash out. The left stands up for literally the Ministry of Truth. The Ministry of Truth, yes, from World War II times, okay? They think everybody on the internet is so fucking dumb that they're just gonna be falling down the alt-right pipeline. The alt-right pipeline that they kick people down because when people have a differing opinion than them, they literally kick them out because they're in a cult. Okay, what about the human rights of all of the people who were locked in their homes and didn't have a job to go to, didn't have the right to earn their livelihood? What about all of the people whose bodily autonomy was lost because coercion does not equal consent, no matter how much you guys tell yourselves that? I can also tell that you guys didn't do your research during BLM or Every Child Matters, because once again, you would know how important do no harm and informed consent is. Why? Because our government is evil. They actually don't even think that parents have rights. Parents literally have rights because of residential schools. I have no idea what planet they think they live on. Like, okay, so they've literally said that parents don't have rights. Do you remember during the pandemic when they were saying that these things were privileges and not rights? Because I sure as shit do. Sorry for swearing. But honestly, I just, like, what about the Canadians like me whose husband's paycheck is, you know, they tax him so much that and all of the businesses here, that food is no longer affordable and Canadians cannot afford to have food. Canadians have lost their shelter more than ever. All of our social services and the services that should be going to helping Canadians get back on their feet are going to immigrants. And not only that, what about the rights of the immigrants who have come here and been subjected to modern day slavery according to the United Nations because CEOs are allowed to take such bad advantage of immigrants here? What about all of those human rights? Because Pierre hasn't said that he's going to take a single right away from anybody. And I am not joking you. This is the entire rhetoric on TikTok. This is their main talking points. When I watch the media, they are more tamed than the unhinged left-leaning people who think that Mark Carney is going to be their savior. Okay? This is all over TikTok. I'm telling you, thousands of likes, but I'm also here to remind you guys, these people fake likes. There's bot farms all over the place, okay? So I understand my own frustration seeing it, but I also understand logically that a lot of those likes are not real likes. Like, my voice is suppressed. If you are voting conservative, or even not even voting conservative, just literally thinking with your head, we don't see your content because of C11. I hope you guys know that. Frank Vaughn has been doing videos for so long. Look at how many videos. I have 140 videos. And people all the time are like, oh, I didn't find you till you commented on Pierre Poilievre's video, or Elevate Podcast said your name, or something like that, because my name does not get out there. Because literally when you search it before this week, you couldn't find it at all. And I had videos with thousands of views. The amount of rights that they have taken from us and subject us to. What about healthcare? They're literally, we know that we don't have, there's 2 million Canadians without a family doctor. I am one of them. So why would we just continuously bring people over here when we can't get anybody to stay? And what about my husband's right to have the money that he earns by working? The amount of these human rights that they say Pierre's going to take, I'm like, okay, so what about all of the ones that the Liberals have taken away from us and eroded? what about that? But I will give you guys hope. I am finding tons of people coming out and talking pro Pierre Poilievre, which is a very hard thing to do. Luckily, people who are in these unions that endorse Pierre Poilievre are finally coming and speaking out because they finally can. And I'm so happy that there are unions out there, because I have such a horrible experience with unions, but it makes me so happy that there are unions out there actually listening to the people that work for them, that they work for, okay? But it ain't easy, okay? Because the video that I commented of the kid like ripping the conservative sign out of the thing, all of those comments were so obnoxiously pro Carney, who literally steals Pierre Poilievre's ideas. Like, if you, and not only that, like, he's a Marxist. He's straight up about being a Marxist. And I don't even want to say that, because the left thinks that being a Marxist is a good thing. He also believes in a couple of other theories too. It's not just Karl Marx, but Mark Carney, I do genuinely think that most of the youth population is on TikTok, okay, compared to Facebook and Instagram. So I do think that a lot of these videos are young people commenting, because the disillusion, it's just a disillusion. It's brainwash. I can sit here because people are like, well, this and this is Doug Ford's issue. And I don't agree with him on that, because I'm not in a cult. I can recognize there's things that I don't like about Pierre Poilievre too, believe it or not, but I don't look up to people like that. And I know that for the most part, I agree with him. So that's why I feel confident in putting my vote into him. You don't have to agree with everything that someone's doing. But the fact for me is that I was a single mom during Harper and able to get by. And so were my single friends, who also were completely on their own without any help. Okay, that's just the reality that my life was. And I got help from the government, and people are like, well, you were just a parent with kids. You just had kids. You were distracted. Okay, but all of those things affect the fact of you guys saying that a conservative is going to take away our right to choose. Well, I had the right to choose. I chose my daughter, and I got a check in the mail once a month. You guys are telling me that that's going to go because a conservative is coming in. So I'm telling you guys, by like reliving the history of my life, that's not true. That's not going to happen. But anyways, I should get going. It's Saturday, so I just kind of wanted to talk about that, because it's very, very, very frustrating place to be on TikTok, because even though you know a lot of these people aren't real, you're just like, how do you think like this? How are you so stuck in your ways that we can't even have a conversation about this? But that's because they might not be real people, you guys. I don't know. Anyways, some of them very much are real people and are very much cognitive disillusioned and are obviously, like I said, very privileged, because to be able to thrive in today's society is to be rich. So congratulations on being the privilege that you say you hate so much. Everybody, have a great day. I'm out of here. Bye.